Hey guys, today we'll be ranking daily productivity habits based on a tier list from bullshit, okayish, good, strong, and god tier. So let's get into it right away. And we're going to start with time boxing, which I think is good because it's really important to manage your time. And what we tend to do is we want to finish things. So we have this task, we plan 30 minutes for it, but it takes us 45 minutes. And what you did is not only you didn't improve on your time estimating skills, but you also stole 15 minutes from the next task. So it's really important to time box things and to keep the time box. This way you learn a lot about time management and get a lot better in estimating. Next up is having a digital calendar, and I'm gonna put that at God tier. Having a digital calendar is really important when you're managing your time. When you see your calendar all blank, there's not much things you think you have to do, and you have nothing to look back on. So you have a filled calendar with all the stuff you do, right? So when you bring the kids to school, you put in the agenda. When you have dinner, when you have lunch, when you have a coffee break, you put everything in there. And then you see the white spaces where you have extra time. So you are really good in seeing how much time you have left to do other things. But also, it's a nice tool to fall back on when you don't know what to do. You take a look at your agenda and you say, oh, this is what I have to do now. And it's also a really great tool for time boxing. So you time box like in the previous one, and you time box it in a calendar, then you also know when to do it. So having a calendar, really powerful also for planning tasks ahead. Next up, we have writing down your daily planning, which I'm going to put at strong. I think it's really important to write down your day and what you want to do during your day. One, yeah, makes it real and you out of your head and on paper. So the big advantage that it's out of your head. It's something you can fall back on during the day. But one thing it also does is it keeps you intentional. So you really think about what you're going to do with your time. And when you're doing that with your time, it feels good because there's an end in mind, there's something you want to reach during that set of actions you wrote down. So you automatically use your time intentionally. Next up, we have introspection, which I'm going to put at strong. In my opinion, it's really important to do introspection because when you want to move forward in life, you have to know yourself. And what better way there is than to practice introspection? And I don't mean walking outside with your AirPods in, that's not introspection. Really sit down with yourself for more than 20 minutes without any interference. And this way, you'll notice that your thoughts are going to run and that you'll learn a lot about the things that you are thinking and also how you're thinking. And a really good way to get rid of those thoughts or to document it is to write them down when you do the introspection. Again, really important to learn about yourself so you know what you're capable of and what you're not capable of. Next up is restriction of alcohol, which I'm going to put at strong. I think alcohol is poison. It's really bad for you and you need to recover a long time. And why didn't I put it at God tier? Because alcohol can sometimes also connect people and bring people together. So when you're on a party with people you care about, sometimes it's okay to have a drink and to connect with the people. But other than that, I would never do it. I would never have a beer alone in front of a Netflix show or when I'm working, something like that. I would never do that. And the reason is because I notice when I have a drink, just one night in a few months, I have 2 weeks or maybe sometimes 3 weeks, I need to recover from that. Not only physically, so I noticed in my trainings are harder. I get less performance out of them. And on the other hand, it's also in the mindset. It's really bad for your mindset. When I drink, for example, once every 3 months, I get really negative afterwards and also really grumpy. And that's something I don't want for myself, but also not for the people around me. So I really tend to drink as less times a year as possible. Then, next up, we have reflection. So, reflection I'm going to put at God tier because I think reflection is one of the most important things you can do. When you are doing reflection, it's really, really good for your improvement and to know where you're currently standing with your skills, with your life. I think it's really important. And the ways you can do this is on a daily basis. So when you write down your actions in the morning, you can reflect on them in the evening. You can say what went well, what are you proud of, but what can I do better? And you have real concrete actions to take with you and to improve. There's a good reason why in software development there is something called a retrospection, where you, after every cycle of work, you have a retrospection and you reflect on what went well and what we can do better. And the next cycle, those improvements are actually implemented. And that is something you can do for yourself as well. At the end of the day, you can reflect, take actions out of it, and you can also do it on a weekly basis. And this way, you'll get into an improvement cycle and you can only get better out of that. Next up is setting goals. I'm going to put at God tier. So having goals, having a vision, a direction is really important because otherwise, when you have an action list or you plan your day, you have no idea where you're going. It's just random action. And when you have this goal in mind, this vision, it will really help you to set your actions with intention. So every morning you should write down your actions with intention because they are aligned with your goals. And your goals should be aligned with the things you think are really important to you. So in that way, you have actions that are tied to the things that are really important to you, meaning those actions are with an intention and with a nice goal that is close to your heart, which makes it really, really fulfilling. So next up, we have writing down ideas, which I think is good. You will notice that a lot of times when you're walking or when you're taking a shower or right before you go to bed, there are all kinds of ideas popping up in your head. And if you don't write them down, you'll know for sure that you will lose most of them. So what I tend to do is I always have my phone with me. When I have an idea, whether it's good, whether it's bad, I just write it down in my notes app and then it's there. If you don't do that, you will lose it and that would be a waste of ideas. And on the other hand, your mind subconsciously is thinking about those ideas. So when you put them on paper, out of your mind, which also makes you more sharp. And next up, we have the restriction of processed sugar intake, which I'm going to put at strong. Studies show that when you eat processed sugar, your brain really has a hard time focusing afterwards. It's especially when you are reading, it gets really, really clear. So sometimes you'll notice that you have to read a sentence twice before you understand it. And that's all because of the lack of concentration and the lack of focus that's coming from the processing of the sugars you ate. And we all know that if you fast, those things won't happen and you can read and you will see it clear right away. And when you eat processed sugars, you'll notice that you'll get less clear and more foggy, making it so that you have to read things or multiple times to understand them instead of just one time and processing it. And on the other hand, sugar, let's face it, is also really bad for your health. So if you want to be fit, if you want to be healthy, sugars don't belong there. But I understand as well It's sometimes eating nice candy or a cookie can be really nice. So that's why I put it at strong. Next up, we have manifestation, which on itself I'm going to put at okayish. And why did I do that? Because manifesting, thinking about the things you want to have without doing anything won't secretly bring them to you, like in The Secret or in Law of Attraction. It's not like that. When you think about it, it will come magically to you. There's a science behind it, and there's also some other things required to make this stuff work. So, for example, I won't make it too long, but the science behind this is something in the brain called a reticular activating system, which is a filter. And this filter is there because we cannot process all the things that will come into our eyes and to our vision and to our ears. We cannot process this, so there needs to be a filter. And we all know that when we want to buy a certain type of car, let's say a red Tesla, we see only red Teslas driving on the road. And it doesn't mean there are more red Teslas, but it just means that you are focused on it. And the same thing applies to the things you are manifesting. So let's say you want a good relation with your family, or you want to own business. When you focus on those things, they will become more present to you. And when they get presented to you, the next thing you need to do is you have to take action on it. So that's the part that's really important and most of the times missing when people are practicing stuff like The Secret or the Law of Attraction. So on itself, I'm going to put it at okayish, but would we connect taking action to this, I would put it at strong, maybe even at God tier. Next up is having a to-do list app, which I'm going to put at good. Having a to-do list is really, really important because, like I said, you need to write down your ideas, but also there's sometimes you have an action you need to do, which you don't want to forget, and you'll put in a to-do. And you won't always have a notebook with you, so it's really nice that you can put it in the to-do list app of your phone, for example. But I notice for myself that when I use these kinds of apps, they get cluttered really quickly, even though I practice getting things done practices. It still gets cluttered and it's a lot of administration to it. So nowadays, I'll put it in a reminder app or in a to-do list app, but also I'll put it at paper. I write it down, which still for me works the best. You just have one paper or one page filled with actions, which you can choose from when you plan your day. That works still the best for me. So I understand if it's for you God tier or strong, because if you have a good system in place, yeah, why not? But for me personally, I started using them a little less and going a little bit more back to paper. This was the tier list part 3. I hope you enjoyed this video. If it was of any value to you, please don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and I appreciate it a lot. And let me know down in the comments, did I miss anything? Or is there a productivity habit that you want to see next time? Please let me know down in the comments.